for BRO 2022. For the AO region, we have 2 Gold Paladin, 2 Bermuda, 1 Aquaforce, 1 Grand Blue, 1 Arakami, 1 Shadow Paladin. So I know you can't see Aquaforce because I'm blocking away, but for the 2 Bermuda list, we had Q-Tire and we have ANGE for these. So coming into BRO, a lot of people was expecting Gold Paladin, which I was expecting because I also played in AO. But I don't think a lot of people were ready for Bermuda to come back. And I'll talk about that later. But essentially, we had 2 Bermuda, 2 Golds, and everything else was one-ofs. And for the top 4, we had WCC Suo. So he also topped in Premium with Bermuda, but now he's topping with Thava, so he's repping Melakanika well. Is second and third place, we have Pure Ange. I think it was Ange Tirua, and we had Ange with Q-Tire, and fourth place was Golds. So a lot of Gold players didn't really make it in the top cut, which I find interesting just throughout the entire tournament. But I'm still surprised that there was 2 Anges, even though they're both different variants, they still made third and second place. Aquaforce is very strong now just due to having Adelaide and a lot of other cards that a lot of them essentially plus and not neg when it comes to like resting their stuff. So that's also a very good thing. Fashionably late. Hey bros, we just started, so you didn't really miss too much. Just going over some of the topping lists for a sec before I go more in depth with the Bermuda stuff. So for EU, we had 2 Bermuda Triangle, which they're pretty much the same variant. 1 Gold Paladin, 1 Shadow Paladin, 1 Genesis, 1 Aquaforce, 1 Kagero, and 1 Great Nature. Great Nature's Isabel, Kagero's the Cross, Genesis Valk, Shadow's Raging, 2 Ange Laners, and Gurgit. Not much to say about that, but for the top, we don't have golds this time, but we have the Ange Laner list. I'll go over the list too on Decklog after I'm going over reviewing these. Second place is Shadow Paladin, Raging Form. Suo again in third place, topping again. So he topped like 4 events this BRO, which is really insane. And Toby TCG with Valkyrion. And NA, which showed the most representation of Bermuda, like almost half of the graph is Bermuda. So we have 4 Bermuda, 1 Gold, 1 Aquaforce, 1 Grand Blue, 1 Morikumo. So only like 2 of them are like not Manalenica. So all of Manalenica like this weekend has been popping off really. So we had 2 Pure Ange, 1 Reindeer, and 1 Ange Laner. And for the NA, here we go. For the NA top 4, we had Ange Laner. I think this Ange Relenka, Michael de Tyler's with Avas, and Sabri with Night Rose. So congratulations to all of them. Sabri is in Orange's server, and I did watch their game. I was cheering them on to win their matches. Unfortunately, they kind of had a really bad hand having the right navigator, and a lot of things weren't going their way. But they tried their best, and I congratulate them for getting 4th place in BRO. Okay, so this is the AO Ange Laner list. So basically the whole concept of Ange Laner before, well, when Prisms had Q-Tire like unrestricted, basically you was using Q-Tire to filter out your deck and to draw a bunch of cards, to compress the deck, and to be able to get like advantage that way. Ange naturally doesn't get advantage like base Prisms did, and even so, base Prisms still had to get hit because the whole deck line was just too strong. So you're combining the concept of Q-Tire with Ange, and you're essentially just filtering out your one-ofs to compress your deck, and then you call something like a Tirua or a Relenka to essentially just stack the triggers on. and you can end the game that way, or just getting like a damage trigger or two and survive your opponent's turn. So this list have Relenka, which I'm not sure if they like bricked on stream a couple of times. I heard Derek did brick a bit from Q-Tire while having 4 Relenka, but normally you wouldn't play 4 Relenka. I understand the philosophy since she can like on hit get her other self and there's only 2 left in the deck. But if you're searching for something else like ANGE or I guess in this list, like anything important like Betty. Oh, I didn't even see that 3 Betty. It does kind of hurt the consistency of Q-Tire, especially having 3 Q-Tire in the deck. Like, I can understand before, like in Prisms where they only ran 2, because the deck was just so good you didn't really need 3. But I can understand 3 being popped up in this ANGE variant. And most versions are sort of similar to this, minus Relenka. Like, some go in more on, like, Aqua, a lot more 2-ofs and stuff like that. But I will say that the important piece is Q-Tire. They have the Pro Sisters because they provide so much pressure, as well as ANGE just being able to call one of the sisters out. And they essentially have 2 38 or 28k swings that hit to crit. Some lists don't play the PG, but it's very important. Is this a Blau stream? Sorry, no, it's a Bermuda stream today. We're going over some of the BRO decks that topped this past weekend. But essentially, most of the ANGE laner list looks similar to this, but they change a bit cards depending on their playstyle. So I can see them just errating her to be a hard once per turn. So this list also topped over the weekend. So for this list, you run normal ANGE Q-Tire, ANGE Tirua, and you basically use this grade 1. She was a promo, Scarlet Vivid Quale. So when she's placed in Vanguard Rigard, you may soul charge 1, and when you rode upon her, you can call it to Rigard Circle. So this actually matters a lot more. Yeah, I like this list a lot too. So ANGE has a problem of not getting enough normal units sometimes. If you have like a bunch of triggers, you're kind of forced to bounce your opponent's rearguard, which happened in the NA finals where the ANGE Relenka player had to bounce back a Q-Tire. So if you ride his grade 1, which is your ideal ride target, if you have Aqua in your hand, you just use this skill first, get a soul, use Aqua, bounce it back to hand, and essentially you did get a plus, but also you didn't have to call another grade 1. Check DMs. I'll check it after I'm done with the list. I'll definitely check it. But essentially, Quale is a plus for soul in this deck since you have Nikita. And Nikita is like very versatile. Since you're able to Soul Blast 3 or more, Soul Blast 1 or more, and she becomes a big beater. But also since you run the grade 1 in the deck, you can mass Soul Charge. And you can Soul Blast 3 in the turn, make her 23k, draw a card, bounce her back for shield later. And then you have Quale, which you could just keep calling her back down and down to Soul Charge. 4 leaves lives to increase the consistency of that. And everything else, like, 1 finesse is kind of risky, but I can understand why they played 1. Just to call it off of ANGE to have a clear board. Ellie makes sense for more shield. 3 Senna is a bit risky, since you don't want to ride Tiro in this deck. But you do have Saria, Aqua, and you have Nikita to, like, cycle through your deck. So, I wasn't really a general fan of this card, but she didn't really do anything at the time of her release. But now since Nikita is here, Nikita is honestly a very strong card for what she is, and Quale actually helps her get the soul that you need to be able to like use her a lot more. So, graph to this player for getting second place. Yep, second place in AO. I really like the list a lot, and I think is another creative way how you can build ANGE. So another build that I've been playing, and also like other players have been playing before, was ANGE Relenka. So basically, you take the concept of that other Highlander list, since Relinka essentially, when she hits a Vanguard, you can search herself from the deck or drop zone, add it to hand, and then with ANGE, when you attack, you can bounce her back and call another copy of her. And then when she attacks, you can discard 2 copies of herself. She stands till you draw 2 cards. So essentially, it's like, it allows you to do a Tito turn without any CB, as well as it creates a lot of pressure for your opponent, because you call it on a force marker or 2. Matt, you want to get banned? So essentially, you're allowed to create a lot of pressure on your opponent when you call her to a force marker. She's usually hitting like 31 to 36 if you have Senna, or even more if you play Nikita. And your opponent has to toss a lot of cards to guard it, or they just have to take it because they need more cards to survive your later attacks. It creates a lot of pressure, and it's really free. So I really like Relenka. I've been playing her ever since for a while. Big going between her and Tirua, but I'm more convinced that Relenka is a very important piece in this deck because it's your early game piece. If you don't have Tirua or any other card I can filter for her, you're not really pressuring your opponent on your first grade 3 turn. And 2 Tirua makes sense because you don't want 3, which I ran 3, and end up drawing her. This was ran 1 Sissoko, which I agree. I think you want to always play at least 1 to put back any important pieces or any important cards you want in your deck. 2 Finessa makes sense. 2 Nikita and 3 Lieslot is fine. I like using Andro Helltrot and Premium. I don't want to buy 4 more for her and V. It's okay, just mix and match it. Anja gets a lot better with Martoa and Premium whenever she drops in English. The Pearl Sisters, I think every list needs to have the Pearl Sisters. Like, once Martoa comes out, this is like your second one con. Like, your first one con is either Anja or Relenka, but your second one are these 2. During BRO, I call these so many times. If you draw 1, you essentially would get the other one. You create so much pressure. In that regard. 8 crit. I think 8 crit is necessary. To be able to just kill your opponent faster when you check a crit on like one of your restarts like Relenka or Tirua to just close out the game. 4 PGs and 4 LEs, yeah. This list is really well built. I will say like Lieslot does make sense to have that early aggression. I played 2 and I was perfectly fine. You can swap in between like Seria or Lieslot. 3 Aqua's fine. Since if you already have 1 in hand by your Ange turn, you will essentially have it for the rest of the game. It's just for early game consistency. I could see why she's at 3. Or you might want 4.